The Pentagon today released new video of that very important successful intercept test against an attack from an ICBM. The director of the Missile Defense Agency says the test was done with North Korea and Iran clearly in focus, clearly in mind, and portrayed a very realistic scenario, quote unquote, and showed the system ready to defend America and our allies. Tuesday's test cost $250 million, and an extraordinary result for what has been a long-term program. My next guest says the test demonstrates the United States has the capability to stop a North Korean ballistic missile attack and should give Kim Jong-un considerable pause. Joining us tonight, Congressman Ron DeSantis, member of several important key committees, including Foreign Affairs and Oversight, also a member of the Freedom Caucus. And Congressman, great to have you with us.
Good to be here.
I can't even imagine the pressure on the officer in charge of that test, but he pulled it off, or she, whoever it may have been.
He did, and you know, when I see something like that, God bless Ronald Reagan for having the vision. He did so much as president. His influence is still being felt. But if you're Kim Jong-un, you're looking at that. I mean, that's the one thing you're building towards, to have this ballistic missile capability. You do have nuclear warheads. You see the U.S. having that type of capability. It's very positive for our country. And
it's very positive for the country, and another positive to add to a long list since President Trump was elected. The slogans, Make America Great Again, also with a great connection to Ronald Reagan himself. What we are watching is a continuum reasserted leadership of the free world by this president, stepping into challenges, whether it be in the Pacific region, the South China Sea, whether it might be in the Middle East. This president, this administration responding.
Well, you had 8 years where our adversaries took the measure of the previous president, and they knew they could get away with a lot. Now they're on their heels. They're concerned. They see a president that's standing up for American strength. They see us rebuilding our military, and it doesn't give them the freedom of movement that they had the last 8 years.
And turning to politics, because that's what is dominating the actions of both the Senate Intelligence and House Intelligence committees, in my opinion, right now. The issuance by the House committee today of 7 subpoenas, 3 of them directed to the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, 3 individuals named. What do you make of it? This suddenly looks like an investigation of the Obama administration.
I think it's very encouraging, because you had the unmasking, you had the leaking of the Flynn phone call, which is FISA material. It's a huge no-no to use that for political purposes. So there were crimes committed. We talk about all these investigations. The only crimes we know of were those crimes. But it also is a larger importance, because these intelligence programs have to be reauthorized by Congress. If Congress and the American people don't have confidence that this information is being used properly, if they think it's going to be misused, guess what? A lot of these programs are not going to be reauthorized. So the people in the Obama administration and the Obama holdovers who are still doing some of this stuff now, they've really caused, I think, a lot of damage, even beyond the immediate political kerfluffles.
2 questions follow from what you've just said. One, the 702 program, which is coming up for reauthorization. Right now, it looks like the most abused program of that which we know, which is in public view. But it's scurrilous what has happened to American citizens, what has been done politically. Talk about weaponized intelligence. No. That is an example.
The Congress will not reauthorize this right now until we get answers about how this information was used. Now, if we get answers, we get prosecutions, so people know that you can't just use this information, well, then maybe you'll have a situation where it could be reauthorized. But right now, I think you're going to see resistance actually on both sides of the aisle.
Against the reauthorization of 702. These subpoenas, producing documents, is that sufficient, do you think, to proceed with an investigation that has consequences?
I think it's a hopeful sign. I mean, you remember when Comey testified in March, he talked about the Russian investigation. He would not even acknowledge they were even looking into the leaks. And so this is really the first time we know there's concrete steps being taken to get at the unmasking and to get at the leaking. So it may not be all we need to do, but it's an encouraging step.
Comey making allegations through one of his sources, speaking to the fake news media, that he will allege the president pressured him. Is there a law against pressuring a president pressuring the Justice Department?
Well, here's the thing. Did the president do anything improper? If he's going to say the president did do something improper, why didn't he then do anything in response? And he didn't do anything. Writing a memo to self, that doesn't solve any of the problems. I think he's going to have a hard time explaining, if you're indicting Trump on something, then why didn't you take action?
You get the sense that that memo to self on the part of James Comey at least assured him an audience filled with admiration.